When I lived in Berkeley, while attending seminary, blossoms started blooming on the trees in February. It wreaked havoc on my allergies, but it was always a welcome sight. I remember the wisteria's scents and purple brightness as we waved our palms in the courtyard of the Unitarian Universalist Church in downtown San Francisco, where First United Lutheran Church rented worship space at the time. Here in Maine, the buds are still neatly huddled on the tips of branches, awaiting their debut. And in the southern hemisphere, it is the season of autumn and the beginning of hibernation. New life comes to different places in different seasons, just as the seasons of our lives oscillate between death and life differently for each of us as we go about our own journeys. It is rare that we so collectively experience a season of death as we are in the world right now with the COVID-19 coronavirus, except for perhaps the Christian practice of the Triduum, as we have just experienced in these past few days. While practiced differently in each setting, and it's likely it was practiced quite differently this year than how you normally have experienced these holy days, everyone in the Western Christian tradition walks those 3 days at the same time. We experience the death together. We experience the instability and fear together. We experience the new life and resurrection together. Joel Workin, one of the Berkeley 4 seminarians who came out as gay after his candidacy approval and whose ministry was never officially recognized with an ecclesiastic ordination, was a prolific writer and gifted preacher. In one of his essays, Easter Passages, Joel writes, "The Triduum is the closest thing Christianity has as a response to theodicy." Theodicy is the church term for the question, why does God let bad things happen? So Joel is saying the walking together through the 3 days of the Triduum is the closest thing our Christian tradition can offer us to answer, why do bad things happen? We experience the death together. We experience the instability and fear together. We experience the new life and resurrection together. And it is all of it. Death, fear, life. And again, death, fear, life. Different seasons, different places, different reasons, we walk together. There is always death, and there is always, always life. That is the promise of our faith. In this season of fear and death, ELM is walking alongside LGBTQIA+ leaders in the ways we can and know how. We have distributed over $3,000 in microgrants to members of the Proclaim community to help them financially get through this season, and there is more to give thanks to the generosity of our community. Queer leaders are gathering with each other and their communities and loved ones on our public Zoom line, which we've made available for any need in our community. The Proclaim chaplains are actively praying with and for our leaders and creating space for consolation and solace. And queer leaders are rocking it. Their creativity is boundless, and the ways in which they are walking alongside their communities is inspiring. We are so proud to provide platforms through which these leaders can connect and mutually inspire, and places where they can rest and receive care. Thank you for walking alongside us on this journey. We know that we do not walk alone in this time of fear either, and that brings us great joy. While it may seem odd to shout Alleluia and to raise our voices in song, knowing that many will die today from COVID-19, we lift them with the choirs of angels and the hosts of heaven in the promise of resurrection and life everlasting. We lift them for those who cannot speak because they cannot breathe. We lift them knowing that while resurrection comes today, death may come tomorrow, and resurrection again on Tuesday. There is always death, and there is always, always life. Whether you're celebrating Easter with immediate family or with an online community, or if you're by yourself, know that we're in this together, all part of the same body, and we are grateful for you. Happy Easter. Christ is risen.